Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Advancement Center, to the world beyond magic and miracles. Welcome. I had a rather stressful drive coming in today, which is really unusual. It was way more traffic than usual. So when I sat here waiting for the camera to go on, this bird started singing just outside our door. Puts a smile on my face. Just everything melts away for me. Just the simple voice of a little bird. I can just sit here and listen. So here we are once again. Sitting here in this chair, delivering our message from the Advancement Center, whatever that's going to be today. It's always different. It's unique for each and every one of us. And I think I'll start with a little story from last week at work. Just lighthearted, just fun. I had, I think I was out getting the car washed, and I got a call that there was a ride up to the San Ysidro Ranch. I'm the house car driver, so I go from one property to another. And I'm like, oh, that's a little early. People don't usually leave this early. So I picked them up, and sure enough, they did not have reservations. It was a Sunday night, though, but they didn't have reservations. And they were going to try to finagle their way in. So I was telling them, I was just being myself, and for people that have never been or not familiar with the area I was driving them into and through, and tips for the restaurant up there and the fun I have. It's just fun. And they were very fortunate to be with me since I've been doing this for so long. Everybody knows me. So even though there's a guard at the gate that normally stops people to make sure they have reservations, they didn't stop me because they know me. So I sort of I was just giving the ladies tips, and one of them, as we're almost there, says something about, oh, maybe we'll just do this, or we'll say this. And I found myself, I was really surprised that I said, oh, no, don't lie. I was surprised I actually said that out loud. But I said, oh, no, don't lie. I said, they'll know. I said, just use your magic, or just use the magic. And it had this really interesting effect. They both got big smiles on their faces. There was a sense of relaxation, like, oh, that's easier. And of course, a couple hours later, when I went to get them, they were so happy. And they said it worked. And they just had the most magical evening. It's just something as small as that is just brought me so much joy when you can share the ease of just being in your magic versus the other thing, especially in the female world, of deception and manipulation to try to get something. It's really nice when you can just very gently just suggest they move in another direction, and it works, and and they benefited. They just had a beautiful experience. So that was one piece of using your magic that I wanted to share. I think there's a lot more, but it's gonna have to, come in on its own. My my system is not used to being quite so focused as I was driving in today. Usually my drive is relaxing, and and I start off in this beautiful flow of whatever that was, not of anything of the mind, just this beautiful connection with the outer reaches. It all happens really easily when I'm driving by the ocean and there's not a million cars and drivers that you have to pay such close attention to. So forgive me if I'm a little slow and jumping onto my surfboard and riding the wave of the flow that's usually just already started. What I can share at this moment is how beautiful it is here. Occasionally, when it gets warm, we'll have the front door open, and it was just open right before this began, and oh, it feels so wonderful. Just this really lovely light breeze. And it reminds me of the feeling when I am in the flow. It feels like this. It's gentle, it's refreshing, and you just float on it, in it. So perhaps I can at least transmit to you this beautiful physical sensation. It's absolutely wonderful. And it also brings me to all the times in my life when I've been relaxed and connecting with my creator, not necessarily in a conscious way, but when you look back and you recall the feeling you had, you know, you're like, "Ah, that's what that was." Because you feel like you're being cradled, because you are in the arms of your creator when you're in that beautiful place. And it can be quiet, but it can also be quite active. It's not just necessarily a quiet experience. I think that's one of the things that's so fascinating about this physical experience on planet Earth is there's very much an incredible flow. It's just at a much higher rate, and it's very exciting, like being on a raft going down the rapids compared to being on a raft going down a lazy river. But in both instances, the connection to your creator, to to yourself that's everywhere is what I live for. For years, when I first arrived in this part of the world, I had the great good fortune of having more time on my hands. So I would go out and listen to a lot of live music and did a lot of dancing. And I did that actually for years before I arrived. And it's one of the things where I would just step right into that connection and that flow, and it was absolutely magic. I would not be very aware of much around me other than maybe the musicians or now and then other people in the room, because it was just this exquisite experience. So it can be that, it can be anything. It can be lively and active. It could be still and silent when you experience this. And I truly know that there will be a point in this physical life for me, as it is what I desire, that no matter what is going on, what circumstances are happening around me, even bad traffic and bad drivers, that I could still be in this beautiful flow of life, because I know it's within my control. So I just put that out there for this moment, as each and every one of us actually every day places our order for what's next or what we see. It's often just our vision of what's coming or what we know is to be. And it could be a fraction of a second that you place your order and it's gone to the higher levels of the atmosphere where it could be picked up by anybody. I love that. And your vision, your desire for what's to come may actually be helped along by someone else, somewhere else. And then one day you'll see it, the physical evidence of what you knew would be in place. And you didn't have to do anything other than you, at one point, you placed your order, and often it's not even with awareness. It's just a fleeting delivery of a message. Well, there you have it. Today's been about the flow and the magic, and a little bit of how things work from this life here. There's so much communication that happens all the time. Much of it we're not even aware of, and I'm speaking of not just receiving but giving. And the beings that we've talked about that are often here with us, that are here with us, I would more than often they are here with us. Sometimes the room in which you stand in may be a little bit more crowded than other times. There are so many of them, but there is always communication. And it reminds me of how I'm always getting clear, but very, very delicate messages. I'll be, eh, I'm talking about random, everyday, I'll be on my way to the kitchen or the, I don't even, just little things. And you'll just have a little, it will be in words, will come in to me like a suggestion, like, oh, maybe you want to do this, or maybe, and the brain, it's interesting because it's a conversation that often happens that you're not very aware of because it's distinctly a message and then a response. So even today, I was noticing how I wasn't listening. So the last time I heard it, it was something simple about taking a drink of water. I said, oh, yes, I'll listen. But there's a lot of that that goes on. And there was a time once in my life where I was given a very deliberate message in that way, and I didn't listen. And a couple years later, I had this moment of, oh my goodness, I didn't listen. And I went through quite a bit of turmoil because I hadn't listened. So that's what I mean. One of the many things that I mean when I talk about the amount of communication that's always going on. So listening, in this beautiful, gentle awareness. And today, because I'm on a lazy river again today, that's where everything is for me and where my awareness extends out from this beautiful place of calm. And yet mischievousness and frivolity all at the same time. So that's it for me for today. Thank you so much for joining me, whether you're here with me today or sometime in the future. It's lovely to connect. And may your life be the most magical life with the most perfect health and the most magic future you can possibly imagine. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Genya.